What's up, world? Eliyah, aka Young Chi. I'm back. In this video, I want to do something kind of like a book review on the latest book that I just finished reading called Illuminatium, the First Testament of the Illuminati. And I just read it not too long ago. It didn't take too long. It's actually a pretty small book, as you can see. It's about 100-something pages. I came across it while I was doing research on the Illuminati. I'll get into that a little bit later. But basically, I was doing research on the Illuminati and the Freemason Brotherhood and just learning a little bit about it because, looking on YouTube and there's a lot of propaganda that's out there that's about these two secret societies. And I wanted to do research on my own to really figure out, to find out for myself and to learn a little bit about, what do these societies have to say about themselves. So while I was doing my research, I came across a website and it said it was the official Illuminati website, which I'm not too sure. I really don't know because it's secret society. So I really don't know. I can't really say. But one thing that they do say on the website is that there are a lot of fraudulent societies and groups out there that claim to be members of these societies, and they really, how can I say? I guess they're really not. Again, man, I don't even want to get too deep into it because it can probably get confusing. So basically, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the book, because on the website they have a promotional video and they also have this book that's available to the public, and it's public relations outreach. So basically it's the Illuminati, I guess like a branch of the Illuminati, reaching out to the public to enlighten people about their organization and what they're about. And that's what this book is about. The First Testament is about talking a little bit on, or addressing a little bit on, what the organization is about and what they stand for. And it was a couple of points. I read through it. Again, it's a small book. I read through it. It took me maybe 3 hours. It didn't take too long for me to read it, and I'm a slow reader. So it's a pretty small book. There was a couple of points that I saw in here that I thought were good points. The thing about me, though, is it's not new information. A lot of this stuff I grew up learning about, and it's also in a lot of other seminars, books, and literature that I've read previously, and it's just so happened to be in this book as well. So what I want to do, though, is share a little bit about some of the information that's in this book, because it does address some good points, especially for people who are new to this type of information. Because growing up, I knew a little bit about some of the things that they talk about in this book. I'll get into it a little bit later, that some people may have considered conspiracy, especially back like in the 90s. Back when I was young, it would have been considered like conspiracy and stuff like that. But now it's kind of like open information, really, because we're in the information age, and a lot of this stuff is already out there. So now there were some things, though, that they addressed, that they basically, with this book, they confirm the truth about some of these things, and one of them is privacy and security. But I'll get to that in a moment. Let me flip through here real quick. So a little bit about the book. It's broken up into chapters. Let me see how many chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 11 chapters, and there was a couple of points that I highlighted. The first chapter of the book is on the website. I think if you go to Illuminatiam.com, if you type in Illuminati, you will come across a website that says it's like the official Illuminati website or something like that. So some of the main points I highlighted in here that I thought was pretty interesting. It said Illuminati's purpose is to secure the ongoing. So one of the things that they say is Illuminati's, and here it says Illuminati's purpose is to secure the ongoing survival of the human species. So a little bit about how the book is written. It's written as if almost, I don't want to say condescending, but it's written almost as if like this is a divine being talking down to humanity. And it's kind of tricky because I'm pretty sure it was a human that wrote this book, but I'm pretty sure that the high order of the Illuminati, which really means, to be an illuminated being, are beyond being human. They're considered ascended masters. So I get a little bit into, my ideas of the Illuminati, of the real Illuminati, in a minute. Because again, when you do research on the Illuminati, you find out that they have a lot of puppets here on Earth. Freedom is the idol of the human species. See, for happiness, the human desires freedom. For prosperity, the human requires leadership. So there's like a couple of points that they made in this book that I think are good points, but it's things that are already known. See if I can find some of these highlighted points. So the first part, in the first chapter, they talk about the age of Illuminatium, and basically like some of their goals. From our research, the Illuminati, the group that we know as Illuminati, was formed not too long ago, and they had a plan to take over the world. They gave themselves a couple hundred years to have total world domination, which that's the tricky thing about a secret society is the secrets. It's so many secrets. So not to get too deep into it to get complicated, but they broke down the symbol, and you guys might have seen the symbol before. They broke down the meaning of it. So let me go to it real quick. They call it the mark. And then there's the pyramid, which, represents like, the pyramid scheme. If you're familiar with like business or things like that, the higher you go, the more prominent you are. They have the light. The light, that's what's shining from the eye. It's supposed to be like, shining the way, the beacon of light. The eye is the all-seeing eye, which represents, it's all-knowing. So basically there are no secrets. How can I say? Even though it's, a secret society, there really are no secrets. Basically, like, there's an all-knowing intelligence that knows all. I guess that's the way to say it. So that's the I. And then there's eternal. And that's what the circle represents, is the eternal being. And they say that the Illuminati will continue to stand into eternity. So they broke down a little bit about the symbol, and then they go into the next chapter. The next chapter wasn't on the website, the White Room, which I'm not going to get into too much. I'm not even going to get into the White Room, but basically they talk a little bit about how there's a secret room where prominent members go to meet in order to make decisions about the world, where there's no secrets, there's no secrets kept, and some other stuff too. I don't want to spoil the book, so I'm not going to get too much into it. Then they talk about methods of mind control, which a lot of that stuff is already up on YouTube. It's already up on the internet. A lot of videos up on YouTube, and they talk basically about, admitting that there's a lot of propaganda, and not just propaganda, what is the word? Things that have been put out there, basically from the time you've been conceived in your mother's womb, you've been bombarded with so much advertisement, so much what is the word? It's advertisement, propaganda, all these different things. Like, we've been bombarded by it basically in our society to program us to think a certain way. So that's what chapter 3 is about. It's basically how most humans in this society have been programmed to think a certain way, to be guided a certain way throughout their life. Let me see. The mind is the most powerful element of the human species. So, they go into talking a little bit about programming. Then the next chapter they talk about how you are watched. And basically that gets a little bit into privacy and security, where they let you know that everything that you do electronically is stored somewhere in some database. So basically, now this is stuff that that I was aware of as a child, but it was kind of like conspiracy. There was the people who were accused of this. I guess I'm pretty sure they're the ones who leaked the information to let the public know and be aware. But it was kind of like, conspiracy or I guess, whatever it is. I don't want to get too deep into it or confused about it. But basically, they're confirming that there's an organization that watches over everything that's happening, especially online. And then, it has its pros and cons. One of the cons is you don't have any privacy. You really don't. And that's even beyond electronically. Like, we have technology now to where from satellite someone can peer down into your house. So you could be in the bathroom taking a shower, and someone who's on the control board in the control room can peer down into your house and see what you're doing. So we're in such a technologically I guess advanced society. Our technology have become advanced enough to the point to where you don't have any privacy in this third dimension. In 3D reality, as a human being, anything you do or say, chances are you're being under surveillance. You're being put under surveillance. So, and now one of the cons is you don't have any privacy, but one of the pros is being able to eliminate any potential threats. Like, there's a story that they talk about in here where there was some type of terrorist attack that was being planned, and some people, I guess, like, were planning to blow up someplace, and they were able to find the messages and then track them back to who it was that was sending these messages. And I think they were sending them through email or something, and they were able to basically stop that plan from happening. So that's one of the pros is potential threats to society, potential terrorist attacks and stuff like that could be put to a halt. See, there is no guilt. If there is no guilt, there is no reason to hide. See, where is that? They talk a little bit about need for hardships in this chapter. Okay, now here's one point that I thought was pretty good. I actually highlighted this one. They say, words are the wealth of the wealthy. Knowledge is the power of the words. Now, what that made me think of is how if we go back into the Bible, well, in this chapter, they talk a little bit about being wealthy. Let me see, what's the name of this chapter? Okay, this one is called The Need for Hardships. But they talk a little bit about being wealthy. And they say that wealth, make sure I got this right, you have to have the right idea of what wealth is. So where it says, where I highlighted it, words are wealth of the wealthy, knowledge is the power of the words. The reason why I thought that was interesting, because it made me think back on the Bible, in the New Testament. Let me go to it real quick. Electronic Bible Online. In the New Testament, in John 1:1, this is where my mind instantly went to, is where it talks about the Word became flesh. Now, when they talk about the Word, they're talking about the Lord, or how can I say this? I want to make sure that I get this right, because when they talk about the Word, especially in the New Testament, they're talking about Christ. And how it says, like, this Holy Spirit hovered over the waters or something like that. They're talking about Jesus Christ before the incarnation. So the Spirit being, I want to make sure that I'm getting this right. The Spirit being existing in eternity with God. So basically it says the Word became flesh. That's the title of this chapter. And then it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Now, from my spiritual studies, where they say through him all things were made, that's actually lacking in how can I say, attributing to the female aspect of God. So when they say through him all things were made, there actually should be something to represent the feminine attribute. So that's something of where it's lacking. So and then it says, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So that's what that made me think of when it says that words are the wealth of the wealthy. Because when you think about what truly is wealth, you can think of like physical possessions. And I'm hoping I'm not rambling on for here too long. I don't want to make this video too long. But basically, you can think of it as physical possessions. But if you really think of it from a divine perspective and being a godly entity, if you really have the power that, the scriptures talk about that God has, make sure I'm getting this right, that God has the power to be able to manifest, to be able to speak things into existence, like how the word is abracadabra, where you're able to speak things into creation. That's what the word abracadabra means. For those who don't know, it's a Hebrew word that means, as I speak, I create. And that's something that it made me think of is words are the wealth of the wealthy. People who may come up with, now when it says words, I think of it as like words that could be spoken, but I also think of it as like organized thought. A thought that has been organized into a word. And then, or transformed into an idea. I think that's one way. This is stuff that could be politicked about, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but I thought that was a good point that was made that took me back to the Bible. So that was one point in here, and I don't want to get too deep into this book because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to go and get it. They talk about the secret of power. Let's see, I highlighted this part. They say the hardships is a test of leadership. I thought that was a good one. On all the seminars that I've watched about leadership and success, they talk about, going through hardships, doing things that other people choose not or can't do. Let me see. God conundrum. They talk about, is there a God? And if there was or if there wasn't, does it have to be a God for you to know, to, do the best you can to help contribute to our world? Be wary of evils committed in our name, which I can agree. I do believe that, they talk about Illuminati puppets, and I'm pretty sure that what makes them puppets is the fact that, they're not perfect, and the evils that they do put them on a lower level. Let me see. If you are willing to sell your soul, your soul is not yet worth enough to sell. Okay, one thing that I hope I'm not talking too much in this video. one thing that they say in here, that they admit to, is that there are some things that they know, that they're not releasing to the public because they feel like that the public is not ready yet for these things. One of them is technology. Some technologies are not made available because society isn't ready for it yet. Then there are, like, ideas, methodologies, basically, secrets that have not been released to the public yet because the people have to be made ready. But I do believe that there are some things that are just not secret. Things are revealed to you once you prove yourself worthy. Then they talk about how to join the Illuminati. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I hope I'm not talking too much. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. They say a beacon for the light. And then I think the last point that I highlighted is there is plenty for all and more for those who lead others to the joys of enlightenment. I think that was an excellent way to end this book. I purchased it. First of all, would I recommend it? I purchased this on Amazon for like $12 or $13 maybe. I think if they lowered the price, I think they should drop the price a couple dollars. But I think it's a good read for anybody who is interested in learning about the Illuminati. Again, some of the things that they talk about is things that I've already read before in other books. And actually, I'm still waiting. I would still like to find a book to be able to top. This book right here has nothing on this book right here, The Gospel of Hip Hop. I did a video review on this one a couple of months back. You go back and check that out. Gospel of Hip Hop, The First Instrument by KRS-One. I have yet to find a book to top this one. This is like one of my all-time favorites thus far. I don't know, maybe the Bible, maybe somewhere on that level. Other than that, though, a lot of things that were talked about in this book, I had already read about in the Gospel of Hip Hop. And some people claim or accuse KRS-One of being a member of the Illuminati. Which I can't say, but one thing I will say is that some of the principles that they talk about in the First Testament of the Illuminati were talked about in the First Instrument. So the First Testament and the First Instrument, they definitely have some correlation. But again, the Gospel of Hip Hop is like one of my all-time favorites. So I have yet to find a book to top that one. Another book that I might do a review on real quick is this one by Deborah Lynn Katz, You Are Psychic. And again, if you saw my change video, that was one of the books that I was reading along with the Gospel of Hip Hop. But basically, so I think I might do a review on that one too because I think that was a pretty good one. But a little bit about the Illuminati. They say how to join the Illuminati, but carefully. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I really want to speak too much on that in particular because I don't know, basically. But what I do know is when we're talking about being an illuminated being, and hopefully I'm not over talking, but when we're talking about being an illuminated being of light, that's getting into enlightenment and light body activation, which is things that I've talked about in previous videos, and I'll be talking about in future videos. But I'll definitely want to say that to be an illuminated being, you don't have to join any man-made society or group. It's all up to God, really, in order to be able to truly tell you your life's purpose. Now, one thing that I will agree with is being part of a good network of people, like-minded individuals who are goal-oriented, who are thinking along the same wavelengths and vibrations. That's one thing that I will say is definitely good and beneficial for your growth and development and moving forward into success. So, but becoming a member of a group or a society, I would say, be careful of who you are around. Be careful of the choices that you make, the people that you hang around with. But becoming an illuminated being, that's something that's all within you, in the individual, to be able to develop that connection, that divine connection with God. And one thing that I don't want to talk too much in this video. I don't want to get too deep into it. One thing I will say is that you will start to recognize your relationship with yourself, with others, and in nature. With nature, it become much more bountiful, beneficial. No, that's dog food. Beneficial. I don't know, benevolent. I don't know. I'm trying to find the right word, but basically, that's a little bit about the book. So if anybody, I guess, I don't know, would I recommend this book? That's what I'm thinking. Would I recommend this book? Again, I wouldn't say don't get it, but what I would say is, if they drop the price on this book, I think it'd be reasonable for them to drop the price on this book a couple of dollars. Other than that, that's all I really want to do in this video, is just talk a little bit about it, review a little bit about it. There's a lot of propaganda and stuff out there about Illuminati. I don't know, honestly. I do believe that there are illuminated beings and ascended masters that are all around us governing. There's a higher force, an entity that's governing this world, that's an unseen force. So I could talk a little bit more about it in another video. I just wanted to address this book, the Illuminatium, First Testament of Illuminati, because they're reaching out to the public and I guess building public relations. So I think I'm kind of beating this to death. So I guess that's all I really want to say. I think I've been talking too much, running this time up. So hopefully you guys got something out of it. That's the Illuminatium, First Testament of Illuminati. Just be careful out there. Be careful who you're hanging around with. And until next time, you guys, hopefully you stay blessed, stay on the path of illumination. Peace.